Today is Thursday, December 2nd, and welcome to the 8:30 show. I'm KJ, and every Thursday night you will find me here at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube at Metro Conservative Media. Please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. At the same time, I'm also live on Facebook at Metro Conservative Media's Facebook page. Please like our page and join the conversation by commenting on this video. We will respond to your comments during the show. This is a show where I chat with various individuals about their conservative journey. Tonight, my guest is James Tarantin. He is running for U.S. Senate in Maryland. How are you tonight, James?
KJ, good evening. How are you?
I am well. I am well. So excited to be back. We have been on a little hiatus over the last Thursday, couple of Thursday nights. So this is actually our first show in a couple of weeks. So I am so excited and happy to be back and to especially have you here tonight with me.
Thank you so much. Wait, my thing fell down. 1 second. I'm sorry.
Oh,
There we
no.
go. I'm all yours.
Yes. All right. So again, as I mentioned, you are running for the U.S. Senate in Maryland, right here in Maryland, and we will get into that. But every 8:30 show, I always start out with a random question and answer round. So it's kind of a fun way for the audience to get to know you. So basically, I will ask you a question. It's a rapid fire round. So the first answer or response that comes to your mind, you can just rapid fire round it out.
You got it.
All right. So let's see here. All right. So what are you most known for amongst your friends?
In terms of a character or in terms of my story?
I guess just something that your friends kind of think when they think of James, they think of you, or
I
they something.
I would say they would say the consensus would be inspirational.
Oh, okay. All right. Which would you choose, city or suburbs?
City.
Okay. And what quality do you value most in your friends?
Humility, trust, and a sense of a spiritual outlook on life that is fair and equal for all the members of humanity. That these are the
Okay.
three things that I really appreciate the most.
All right. Excellent. So what about this bigger world issue, racism or communism?
I think that pretty much today communism is not a live theory. I
Mhm.
think that people today realize that communism does not really work. The Soviet Union pretty much fell in, and that was the end of it. You do have some communist countries like Cuba and North Korea, and some other people who believe in it. But I think that 98% of people around the world today believe that communism is not a live theory. So I think that racism is more of a imminent threat than communism.
All right. And then lastly, if you had to choose, which one would you choose? Vaccine mandates, so mandated vaccines, or personal choice?
I do believe that people should get vaccinated, and I do believe that people should have the responsibility if they can to put masks. But I think that it's all about personal responsibility. It's all about people doing what is right for their families, doing what is right for themselves. Each family, each person, they have their own case, their own individual story, and you can really judge them for why they do something or why they cannot, for religious reasons, for health reasons. So I'm not a big believer that mandates 100% work. I
Mhm.
think that inspiring people and educating them to do something is a more prosperous, fair, and equal way to get to the result we want, which is getting people to get vaccinated across the country and reduce the amount of people getting COVID.
All right. All right. Excellent. So again, that was the our rapid fire round. So just a couple of questions so people get to know you. So now we will move into what is mostly the bulk of our conversation tonight, which is your conservative journey. So I want to get a little bit of insight on that. So because you are running as a Republican for the U.S. Senate. So when did your conservative journey start? Have you always been Republican? Have you always had conservative values, or when did it start for you?
So I fundamentally believe that I grew up in a pretty traditional home. I think my mother always taught me is that you need to make sure you have a traditional heart but a forward-looking mind.
Oh.
So I always kept that in me, of that theory in order for to do what is right for people. And so I always believe that because of the way I was raised and because of some spiritual experiences I had in my life, I developed a theory that self-government and self-reliance and work better than big government, big taxes, big regulations, and so forth. So I think that self-reliant, self-government, and giving a moral example as a human being are type of qualities that belong more to traditional values a little bit to a degree,
Hmm.
and also belong to the I think American exceptionalism, and also even to Christian values and Jewish values,
Hmm.
and other religious values. So I think that pretty much I always gravitated towards that moment. So I think that since I was a teenager, I
Hmm.
always believe in these things. So there was no moment in my life that I had a drastic change to
Hmm.
believe in that. But I do see myself as a modern Republican, as a new age Republican, as somebody who is aggressively centrist
Hmm.
and believes that you've got to be able to bring forth forward-looking ideas that are bipartisan in nature, that do not offend, Democrats, do not offend Republicans, but really bring progress that are based on practical solutions. So, regarding your question, I think I've always thought that, and in that regard, I did not have a major turn
Hmm.
in my political philosophy.
Okay, and James, so and I know you have a immigrant background. You immigrated here from in your teenage years. Is that correct? From where?
Pretty much. So I was born in Israel,
Hmm.
and pretty much when I was a teenager, I already began my journey around the world. I moved to the United States. I came here. You know, I still have wonderful, warm parents. I call them almost every single day.
Oh.
I'm a big believer of honoring your parents and making sure that you respect them. And you know but I came here because I wanted to make my voice come alive. I wanted to live the American dream, as they say. So I came here. I had no family by my side. I had no friends. I had no wife. I had no kids. I had no education.
Oh.
um, i I had no education. English wasn't my first language.
So what is
I
your
had
first
no
language? What is your first language?
Hebrew.
Oh, Hebrew. Okay.
Hebrew.
Okay. So
Hebrew is there. Hebrew. And I had nothing to my name, and no money, and no partners. And first decade of my life, I pretty much lived in poverty in a small studio bedroom.
mhm,
I had no health insurance for a decade. I had to go to chefs to ask them to give me food,
mhm.
because it was very hard to. During this time, I was trying to bring forth my entrepreneurial ideas and businesses, but there were many times that requires a lot of work and money does not come in. So I had to go to chefs to give them they would give me their leftover food, so I would not go to sleep hungry. And during that
If
time, I
I could,
felt like,
if I could
yeah,
jump in there, I want to go back to something you said because you come from humble beginnings, and you talk about self reliance. It's still important to you, and that's sort of contrasting these days because you do have where you have the left or and Democrats do try to push saying people from poverty and coming from similar backgrounds as yourself should rely on the government. So can you talk about why do you still believe self-reliance is key, coming from your background?
so look, during that. continuing my story and answering your question at the same
Mhm.
time. During that time, I wrote a book called The Equation that is about, I thought at the time that some of the self-help books out there were not really of substance and did not really provide people a theory how they can achieve big things in life. So I wrote the book in order to give people a practical equation on how they can be self-reliant and how they can have self-government and not to rely and not to rely on the government and not to rely on so-called you know government programs
Wow.
that could be that could be helpful, but at the end, I'm a big believer, and that's one of the main theories of my book, is that you don't want to give somebody a one-time free fish. You want to be able to teach them how to fish.
Mhm.
And if you teach them how to fish, then they become self-reliant. They become a full-on human beings. They're able to explore their full potential. They're able to become their supreme self. They're
Mhm.
able to even, have more of a relationship, with God because they are self-reliant. So as a part of it. So that's a big reason why I authored the book.
Mhm.
And then continuing that theory, when I was 28, I came up with an idea to open an import company that has a very specific business model. But I couldn't get KJ any business. I couldn't get any bank loan. I had no partners. I had no office. I had no employees. I had to work from the library 3 years in order to get free on it. But
Mhm.
I worked insanely hard with tremendous of self-discipline. And today we have a massive company that is located in Maryland.
Mhm.
We're bringing millions of products, across the world to the United States, that are safe, that are secure, that Americans actually need and want. And and a part of it of believing in traditional values and having self-government is not just working hard, but also refraining from doing things that that are not always the best. So I can publicly say, and I said also before, I never tested with drugs ever in my life. I never smoked. I never uh, experimented with drugs. I never drove fast down the street. I never went partying till midnight. If I go with my wife to Vegas, we are in bed by 10 a.m. By 10 p.m. I don't watch violent sports. I read the Bible every
Mhm.
day to keep my charity in check. And I try to give a lot to charity, whatever I can. So that again, a part of self-reliance.
So let
So
me ask you, just James, and how did you develop this discipline? Especially as a young, because you've never done drugs, you never, done any
really never.
things, vices. How did you discipline yourself to do that?
I think that comes down to again, you can now say whether it's talent or whether it's God, but I think that a big portion of it, things that you can actually measure, are a part of us being good parents.
Mm.
And I think that, look, my father smokes. My father drinks. And my father even likes to go partying. I remember as a young boy, but he was a wonderful dad. But my mother always gave me that sense of, you know, spiritual self-reliance and
Mm.
to avoid these things at all costs because they don't help. Imagine how much time you save by not doing these things.
Mhm.
Also, I never gambled. Maybe aside of once in Vegas for like $20 or $30, but I just don't.
Mhm.
And so I think that comes back to education, where you see today some career politicians saying that parents do not have a say in their children's education. And I
Mhm.
believe that parents must have a say in their children's education, because when a parent teaches their child morals and philosophy and they give them a moral example, that's something that is the key to a child's heart, to a child's development.
Mhm.
And so it's a catch 22. We need to make sure the parents have the capital and they have the leisure to actually be with their kids and then teach them moral values that are universal,
Mhm.
have done, not against one religion, not against one party, but are universal. And I think if we have that, if we bring that new moral world, then I think that you're going to see a new generation of really people that can really bring light to the world, can unite the world, beyond race, beyond national borders. It can really bring a whole new world. So I think that, you know, a big portion of my self-reliance came because of my mother that,
Let me jump in.
taught me these things.
I want to welcome, we do have people that are watching, so I do want to welcome you. And again, I am chatting tonight with James Tarantin. He is running for U.S. Senate in Maryland. So if you have any questions or comments, please continue to send those in. We will check them throughout the show. So, James, what are some of your top issues that you want to address as a candidate for U.S. Senate here in Maryland?
So I think, I always learned, if you have a leak coming from the ceiling, you don't want just to patch the ceiling. You want to be able to find what's the source of the leak. Because if you patch the ceiling, it will still keep on leaking up until you find the problem. So I really do believe, KJ, that the greatest problem, threat, and danger to Maryland, to America, and to humankind are these career politicians in office that have corrupt intentions,
Mm.
both conservative and Democrats, not just from one party. And a student from Cape Town said to me once, if the politicians in office were Mother Teresa, 80% of all humanity's problems would vanish.
Mm.
I'm not Mother Teresa. You can ask my wife. I'm not I'm not Mother Teresa by any means. But there's a lot of truth in that saying. And there was an African American lady who told me from New York. She said to me, when I had with her that discussion once, and she told me, you know, when you think about this, it is really a genocide of dreams.
Mm.
90% of all people do not 99% of all people around the world do not accomplish what they want. Think about it, KJ. 99% of all people around the world, before they die, they do not accomplish what they want. They don't have the family they wanted. They work in a job that they don't like. Their dreams are never accomplished. Divorces, it just doesn't stop. And I
Right.
really do believe that career politicians are the primary reason for people not accomplishing their dreams.
How so?
Because think about it, when the basic truth is, when you are a career politician who is getting money from special interests for your campaign, and then you are using that money to brainwash people with misinformation
Mm.
to vote for you, and then when you are in office, all the promises you gave the people go down the toilet, and now you're only giving your vote for those who actually gave you money. So now you are being governed in a country that is ruled by laws that are not for the people but favor the rich.
Mm.
So when we say that we are a country of laws, I'm all for law and order. I'm all for living in a world that is based on law and order. But some of the laws that we have, not all, but some, or a big majority of them, are written by people that are, to some degree, have to answer to other
Oh, I think we lost you there.
for profit.
Oh, James,
So,
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? You had frozen a little bit there. You said,
yeah.
mhm.
No problem. So what I'm saying is that when the laws are passing by, when laws pass that serve the interests of the rich, then the politicians become their own private secretaries, and that's why many people believe that Congress is a private country club. And today we don't really live in a democracy, but in a mirage of a democracy.
Mhm.
And that is why we live in a marketplace, in an environment that people cannot really accomplish what they want. They cannot live up to their full potential because the division and the lies and the laws and the taxes prevent people from really doing what they want, and then they just give up. They can't really move forward in life
Hmm.
despite, even self-reliance. And that's why I think they are the greatest danger that we face in the world, because all the other problems, education, economy, the crime, to a very high degree, come because of their incompetence and because of their dishonesty and because of their lack of caring for human for just for the dreams of human beings.
And
That's why.
so I see what you're saying. And so why you and why now? Why?
Because
Mhm.
I'll be happy to say. So I think that the why me is because I am not a career politician. I do not believe in being a career politician. I think that this country was based on the notion that you come, you serve 1 or 2 terms, and you go home. George Washington could easily had become the king of the United States, but he just retired and went back to his farm. Today, I don't think you're going to see any politician who is going to retire and go back to his farm so much. They stay in power up until they die.
Mhm.
So, at least most of them. So, I think that why me? Because I believe that I can truly relate to the pain of people because of all the pain I went through in my life. And I think that is the key characteristic that a candidate for office can bring anywhere around the world, is to the people that can people believe that this person can relate to my pain,
Okay.
that this person can relate to me, that when there's a bill coming, or if there's a lobbyist coming to his door knocking trying to bribe him, the pain that he suffered will overcome the temptation from that lobbyist or other politicians that try to make you vote against the will of the people. That is by far the most important criteria
Mhm.
to run for office. So that's why I believe why me and why now is, look, people are very upset with what is happening. You see the inflation. People
Mhm.
are paying more for gas, for food. They have to go through the terror of their utility cost. They see all the influx of illegal immigration and how we finance some of them, and some of the illegal immigration brings drugs and violence and human trafficking. They see that we have a 27 trillion dollar debt as a nation, which is unbelievable. They see the crime rates in Baltimore and Chicago and other cities across the country, and and they just can't believe that the people that we are sending to represent us are mainly responsible for these tremendous pains. So I think people want to have something different. That's why we see what happened in Virginia, where a governor who is a Republican won pretty much in a blue state because he was a moderate Republican and he brought practical solutions to his state. And I think you know the culture of in America, KJ, is people like to give a chance to the underdog rather than the career politician.
What
And
what about some of the bills? So some of you mentioned about voting, and have there been any bills that the Senate has handed down, or any issues that you have been following where you feel strongly about, or there's something that you wish you would have had a voice on had you been elected at this time?
so, first of all, I believe in a couple of things. I believe that there must be term limits on senators and congressmen. It's just, to me, unbelievable that governors and presidents are have term limits, but to some degree, and congressmen or congresswomen and senators do not. That's something that I think must happen.
Mhm.
Secondly, I really believe that it's time to reduce taxes and less regulations, because small businesses are the turbo engine of our economy. And we see today how China, according to many experts, already have a bigger economy than the United States when you compare the GDP one next to the other, but from a PPP standpoint. Uh,
Mhm.
there are two types. I don't want to bore your audience with these economic terms, but there are many experts who believe that even now China may have a bigger economy than us. And a big
Wow.
portion of that is because they bring from poverty millions to the middle class. So um, that's something that we have to do. And I also believe in trying to help seniors in Maryland to get better transportation. and building for them more communities that are 55 and up. And we've got to be able to really rechange the um, uh, you know rechange the whole aspect that parents don't have a say in their children's education. Parents
Mhm.
must have a say, and we must allow parents to get tax deductions when they save money for their children's education. We must be able to help students who have tremendous amount of debt to survive it. It's not fair that students have tremendous amount of debt, but universities are making profit like there is no tomorrow. And then after students study there, they can't even find a job.
Right.
Something there does not really make make sense to me so much. So I think that, you know, promoting legal immigration, combating illegal immigration, fixing our education, helping seniors and farmers, and really bringing our economy back to prosperity. So we will not be number two, number three, number four nation in the world, but we can still lead the world in the 21st century as as the American century, as we had in the previous one.
All right. And we are getting close to the end of the time. One thing I'd like to ask you is how can people assist you in your campaign? What ways do you need assistance?
We need whoever can hear us. I really believe we have a good chance of winning. We have a massive campaign. We have many endorsements across the country. We have a massive platform. We have volunteers. We have a great team across the country. And I think that time, karma, and God may be on our side. And we need more volunteers. So anybody who hears us, can join, can contact us on our website. There is an email there. They can email us, and tell us they want to volunteer. We'll give them a call back. We need the more volunteers we have, the better chances we have to actually win. So that's what we need right now. The more volunteers, the better chances we have.
All right. And we're going to go to some of the comments here, see if we have any questions.
Okay.
So I have here Kel Kells says it should be term limits. I'm so tired of watching politicians falling asleep on the floor.
That's
So,
actually funny.
yeah, so
It's so true.
there, right. And so let me see here. Uh, we have here Stephen says the same people who vote their own pay raises will not vote term
Vote.
limits.
That's really true. And that's something also we address on my website. That's really, I think, such an immoral thing to do when people raise their own salary but will not put an end to their own tenure. That's just it just show how immoral often our system in
Mhm.
government can be.
Yes, yes, indeed. And do you have in mind a bill or something you'd like to bring once you are elected? Would be your first thing to combat? Would it be term limits, or did you have something else in mind?
I think that it's going to look, many politicians come and they promise things and then reality knocks on the door and they can't do it. So my main goal is to really to vote things who are bipartisan and who are aggressively centric. We put on our website so many, I think, amazing policies. How do we help farmers and seniors and promote our economy forward? But it is a dear subject to my heart to try to see how do we pass term limits, because I think that may be a silver bullet in regards to reducing the ill intentions of the current politicians in office and bringing more of the voice of the people to the public square of our country.
Okay. All right. Well, you have talked about how people can assist with your campaign. Are there any events that you have coming up? We're reaching almost the end of the year now. Anything that you would like people? I know you said we can go to the website, but anything that you'd like to share at this time?
I'm going to as many events as I can across Maryland, trying to help other people to get elected too. I believe in that part. I think it brings good energy. So no, we just really we need more volunteers. In next year we're going to have even more events, so we need people to come with us, to join us, to be a part of this. We want to be able to show that we are, we can really become together a new age of multi-ethnic leaders in
Mhm.
this country, that I think it's going to be a beautiful thing to have. And I think people, young people, do want to see how Congress becomes a lighthouse
Mhm.
rather than a private country club.
All right. All right. Well, we have reached the end of our time. I want to thank you so much for joining
KJ, thank you so
me.
much for having me. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we have to have you back before the election. Uh,
Absolutely. Anytime you want.
yes, indeed. So, again, that wraps up this episode of the 8:30 show. Again, we are all over social media under Metro Conservative Media. So, like, share, leave comments, and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, check out our webpage, www.metroconservativemedia.com. We love to get your feedback. I hope to connect with you again next Thursday at the same time. Wishing you warm days and starry nights. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you very much.